Everybody will be dancing and you're doing it right. Everybody will be dancing and you're feeling alright. Everybody will be dancing and you're doing it right.
So your clicker, I'll grab your clicker. Yeah.
Doing it right. Everybody will be dancing and you're doing it right. Everybody will be dancing and you're feeling.
Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here this afternoon for the inaugural Money 2020 Europe, and I thank you very much for the time that you're going to spend with us this afternoon. At Amazon, we pride ourselves on taking the long view on things. And so I'm not going this afternoon to talk about some fancy new technology which might be viral today and gone tomorrow. I want to talk about something that we see as absolutely fundamental for commerce in the 21st century, for connected commerce, and I'm talking about trust. Recently, the French digital agency GIN launched a trust index in which they surveyed a number of companies, a number of consumers, and they named Amazon as the most trusted site to make purchase from. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be in a position, therefore, to share a few insights about trust. Trust has always been at the heart of e-commerce, at the heart of commerce in general. In the digital environment that we live in and that we trade and buy, we are pushing the boundaries of trust. We're adopting very new way of conducting commerce in ways that benefit emerging lifestyles, that provides us convenience and provides us new ways of getting access to services. For instance, think of sharing cars or sharing homes. But in the process, we are also pushing the boundaries of what used to be trust. So let's think for a moment about what's driving us to provide trust. What is causing us to provide trust with somebody in places or in ways that not so long ago we would have considered high risk? The micro-judgment of trust are based on a constant analysis of risk and reward that we individually make in many interactions every day. To understand the anatomy of trust, it's important that we unpack how those judgments are made. According to research conducted by the ESPC European Business School, trust judgments are based on three complementary components: credibility, integrity, and empathy. Now, what does that mean in the context of commerce and e-commerce? Credibility means something as simple as, am I getting a quality product? Integrity. Can the person providing me that product be trusted to keep my details safe, to deliver me what they promised that they would deliver? Empathy, probably the most important. Will they treat me like they care? These traits can only be judged over time. Trust is based on the repeated positive experience that we have and the absence of negative experiences. According to research from customer engagement company SDL, it takes 2 years for a brand to be considered trusted through repeated engagement, and it will take 5 years of positive experiences before consumers will shift some of their spending to that brand. So while consumers are continuously making those assessments of credibility, integrity, and empathy, business can send signals that are going to offer reassurance that they understand the ways in which consumers are feeling vulnerable. According to Lejbowicz, there are 7 main fears that consumers experience while shopping online. Fear of credit information being stolen. Fear that the site itself is not who they represent to be. Fear that the product that is presented is not the one they will receive, and that there will be no ways to get guidance or help. Fear that their personal information will not be kept private. And then there is a sense of not knowing exactly when the products will arrive. Will the promise be kept? And finally, the fear of not having any recourse if something wrong happens. Therefore, when focusing on building trust with consumers, it's important to send signals that will help reassure them, treat those fears, alleviate them. Ensure that customers knows their financial data is secure, their personal information remains private, their purchase is guaranteed, that they will receive their purchase in good condition, in time, as promised, and that they can turn to you in the case they're not satisfied with their product. For business who recognize the value of having a trusted brand and act on actively building this trust, the rewards are very profound and very robust. The latest trust barometer from reputation management company Element reveals that 37% of responded reported that they were willing to pay more for product and services from companies they trust. 37%. 59% have recommended a product they trust or a brand they trust to friends and colleagues, and 41% have shared positive comments online. When you connect this last insight from a recent Nielsen survey that showed that personal recommendation is the most profitable form of commercial communication, you understand the power that can be derived from building trust. However, conversely, not building trust can have significant impact. And by the way, just a moment ago, we heard about hoverboard. I can tell you that at Amazon, because we covered a lot of losses our consumers experience with malfunctioning hoverboard, we actually left a few $1 million in the process, but more importantly, many of the companies that were providing defective products are no longer in business. So coming to the fundamentals, the same Elements study found that 48% of people that reported that in the prior 12 months, they had knowingly, consciously decided not to transact with a company when they felt they could not trust them. 48%, 1 in 2. And 28% of those people then put negative comments online. So, trust matters. Trust matters fundamentally. As a matter of fact, last year we conducted research in the US with payments.com. We found that 78% of people considered trust and associated emotions related to security and safety as the most important factor when picking the place where to shop online. More than 3 out of 4 people make trust the most important reason they're going to shop from a particular site. Trust, interestingly enough, is also a key to innovation adoption. Think about it. A company that is pioneering new products and new services is pushing the boundaries of what consumers are comfortable with. And on one hand, for a period of time as they're innovating, they may benefit from the uniqueness of their product and lesser competition. On the other hand, they have to manage operating in an environment where customer trust is not necessarily strong. And therefore, it's important to establish new markers for that trust for consumers. As a matter of fact, in the same research that I was mentioning a moment ago, payments, when we ask consumers the most important factor that would influence their adoption of a new mobile payment solution, trust and associated emotions were the number one factor that consumer chose 7 out of 10 times. Now let's think about how do we think about trust at Amazon? Because once upon a time, in 1995, as a matter of fact, we were a company that was operating in a business model and frankly in a channel that was totally new for consumers. We were pushing the limits. Yet 20 years later, in a Reader's Digest survey Amazon has been named the most trusted e-commerce retailer. Why is that? From the first day of its creation, Amazon has put the customer at the center of everything we do. Now, I don't know a lot of companies that will tell you that customers is not important. Everybody says, oh, we care about our customers. What I can tell you is that at Amazon, it is at the center. We call it customer obsession. Underpinning customer obsession is customer trust. We focus maniacally on improving the customer experience, on delivering exceptional service, on acting in a way that shows integrity and that shows that we are on the consumer side. The same is true, by the way, of our business customers. If I had €1 or $1 for every time I've been asked, can other merchants trust Amazon? I can simply, first, if I had $1, I would be retired by now. But when I get the question, I simply point to these customers that I have here. We serve companies from the very small to the very large, and even companies that are considered competitors like Netflix or Nordstrom or ShopDirect or Adidas. And these companies trust us with their most important asset, that is data. So how did we get there? How did we become trusted even by companies that might be competitors? You can see here on the screen one of the famous Amazon Flywheel, the original Amazon Flywheel, a unsigned Jeff Bezos original. There'll be a time when this is extremely valuable on some marketplace. At the center of this flywheel is the belief that a positive customer experience can be self-perpetuating if we apply the right ingredients. At Amazon, a lot of what we do and think of are communicated in terms of those flywheels that self-reinforce. So what does it mean for trust? Well, customer trust actually can be built as a flywheel. When customers trust you, as we discussed a moment ago, they prefer you. When they prefer you, they give you additional opportunities to further earn their trust, which strengthens the flywheel. With every turn of the flywheel, you strengthen the trust, and you grow the relationship that your product or your brand has with this consumer. Now, the main issue for many businesses that start is to get a flywheel going. Some refer to it as an ignition problem, establishing trust with new customer in a critical mass. This is the pain point that we're focusing on with Amazon Payment. We are extending the Amazon Trust Flywheel to other merchants. In doing so, we are helping them, providing them the time to build their own credibility, their own trusted relationship with their consumers. Now, you might ask, why would we do this? It's quite simple, because in the process, we also strengthen the trust that our customers have with us. Building trust in a retailer and in Amazon is not mutually exclusive. As a matter of fact, data unequivocally show that it is happening concurrently through Pay with Amazon. So today, we're proud to announce a global partner program that will actually make it easier for merchants to leverage the capabilities of the Amazon Trust Flywheel. We are working with global e-commerce platforms to make it easy for merchants across the globe to build experiences that will leverage the trust that Amazon has with its 304 million active buyers and build in their own ways new commerce experience. And to talk about this, clickers and me never work together. I am happy to have with me today the CEO of PrestaShop, one of our first premier partners, Corinne Lejbowicz. Corinne?
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you for letting me be here with you.
Pleasure. So, Corinne, first tell us a little bit about PrestaShop.
Yeah, I'll try to make it quick. PrestaShop is e-commerce platform, e-commerce suite that is being founded by a very young guy in 2007. And today there's about over 250,000 stores around the world that do operate on PrestaShop. Mostly in Europe, I would say 3/4 in Europe, the rest strictly all around the world. And I just checked one number before joining you on stage. Here in Denmark, we have a little more than 3,000 stores.
That's very nice. Now, you work with merchants every day. What do they tell you about what is key for them nowadays?
You know, e-merchants are merchants, and the first thing they tell you every day, every other day is, how can I get more customers? How can I get more volume? And a bit further down the way, they ask how to make money. But really, their first obsession, it's really an obsession, is how can I get more customers, acquiring new customers? That's the first thing. Second thing, when you know them a little better, is I need so many tools to have my online store working. Payment tools, shipping tools, marketing tools, other administrative tools. And I want these tools to be simple, to be reliable, to be secure, and to help me save time on paperwork and concentrate on getting more customers. Because they always come back to that obsession, which is acquiring more and more new customers every day. So simple tool, reliable tools.
So how do you apply your trade to help those merchants, and in particular to build experiences that indeed will foster trust with their customers?
You know, I was just listening to you, and came to me that trust is something that's very related, integrity, empathy, and so on, to open source. And PrestaShop is an open source software, meaning we are only 125 people working for 250,000 stores. So we can't do that on our own, of course. And we very much rely on our community to build the software. So 2 weeks ago, we announced that we now reached the 1 million member milestone, which is huge. And our community is made of merchants, of developers, of designers, of agencies, and whatsoever. And these people, I think as we speak right now, there are thousands of them around the world who submit new features, new code, new line of codes on the software, who exchange best practices on the forum, on the social networks, and so on. And of course, they trust each other, because when they submit a new feature to my company, to PrestaShop, okay, we check the code, but we trust them. And when they speak every day to say, hey, I've been trying this payment tool, I've been trying this new marketing tool, they trust each other answer. So trust is so much related to open source that we do build, without that trust and that community that relies on trust, PrestaShop could not grow as fast as it does grow every day. That wouldn't be my best answer. I don't know if all of you are familiar with open source, but it really relies on trust. Of course, you need to add something. You need to add transparency. You need to add openness. And you need to add some ratings to make sure that your community, the best members of your community, get the right reward by ratings, usually, to be listed first when people ask questions or want some novelty or anything else. And it works internationally, really. It's amazing how we get new members all around the world these days.
It strikes me, even though the research we did and some of the research has surfaced here about credibility, integrity, and empathy is very focused on consumers. The truth is many merchants, online merchants, who often can be small business owners, are themselves acting out of the same impulse. And what you're describing, especially with transparency and sort of mutual recognition, builds up really on the same characteristics.
because these merchants, to succeed in an online store, okay, you need to create it, so you choose a software. But you need to add really the tools that will help you succeed locally and internationally, even if you're small. It's amazing to see how many customers buy everywhere and anywhere in the world. And to choose these tools, I always say to merchants, you need at least 2 payment tools. Sorry, Amazon and something else. You need 2 shipping tools per country, and you need 2 or 3 marketing tools, including Amazon again, in most of the countries. But to choose the second one, it's very important to exchange, to know other people, how much it costs, how easy it has been to be implemented, how much support you will get from these tools from companies like PrestaShop and our industry partners. So yes, this is really key.
So today we're launching our partner program, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be working with PrestaShop. We really consider it an honor. What do you think, as you talk to merchants and as you guide us, what do you think we can do to best benefit your clients, merchants, and ultimately consumers?
You have to tell them it's easy to implement. That's first step. It must be as easy as a one-click button. Well, just as an example, of course. You must tell them what your roadmap is going to be, because people want to sell all over Europe and maybe more. So you need to be very clear on the roadmap, because every merchant, even small, has that in mind. And you have to give them some good support in case they cannot make it run as simply as they wish as they always dream. And you have to explain them what I really believe is that for a customer, for you and me as shoppers, Amazon Payment will help them acquire the new customers they are really after every day. This should help, and you have to tell customers that there are a lot of other sites outside of Amazon, even if Amazon provides a lot, other small sites, niche sites, international sites where they can buy without being afraid of buying, and with Amazon Payment, buying in one click with a lot of trust. So you can serve both customers by telling them, please go and buy anywhere with trust, and merchants, we're going to help you grow and spend less time on administration and more on acquiring customers and customers. And I've checked a few figures, because we launched the connector between PrestaShop stores and Amazon Payments. And last week it was more than 200 downloads, just without any marketing or communication. We just put the plugin in the back office of the software. And I was really amazed, because it's only 3 countries, no marketing. So it shows there is an interest. Now you have to help us work on this interest, because you're Amazon and we're just a small French company.
A small company. Well, I happen to believe that I'm not in the payments business, I'm in the trust business. And that is why today I really chose not to talk about new payment technologies or new products, but rather to talk about the notion of trust, because of how powerful we believe it can be for people that we work with. And the question that I would like to leave you is, which trust ecosystem would you want to work with? By the way, there's no mutual exclusivity in the trust ecosystems, but it is a question that you should be asking yourself. Which trust ecosystems should I be participating in, so as to leverage existing trust relationship and build new ones with consumers? I thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Corinne.
Thank you.